Hello again, I'm Joga Conga and this is the talk that I gave at the recent CETA conference. It's about chatting online again, but this is kind of a year on. So if you're asking what's all this about, it comes from when Marie-Therese Swaby last year suggested that trainees spend a lot of time watching each other, but perhaps while they're doing that, although they may be doing an observation task, what they may be doing is this, or panicking about their own lesson, or just watching and not seeing what's going on. And so in order to engage them more, she started to use various online tools to maintain a conversation during teaching practice. If you're looking for the practicalities, I already made some videos about those, but today I want to look at a few other things. Let's start with this. What do trainers think about this methodology? I asked quite a few people on Facebook and personally, and I had these sort of comments. It made a real difference. Trainees are much more engaged. I have the opportunity to guide them and focus their observations. It speeds up feedback and allows for more time for workshops. Another trainer said, rather than having to remember what they've seen, they comment straight away and boost each other's confidence, I think. I also use a few prompts to get them going and poke the quiet ones. And a third trainer said to me that it had revolutionised CETA for them, and that it was also a good way of keeping nervous trainees focused and calm while watching their colleagues. No system's perfect though, of course, and there are obviously some issues that have come up while people have been using this. So let's have a look at a few of those and maybe how you could address them. This is the very big one, I think. If you don't have reliable Wi-Fi, you just can't use this system. It's as simple as that. Also, if some candidates don't have the right devices or sufficient data on their phone, you're also a bit stuffed. So it does require that people have the technology. Here's another point. Some trainees are less computer literate, or if they're slow typists. Again, there's not much you can do about this. If it is the case with the majority of your trainees, then this system probably isn't going to work. But it is 2018 and I think a lot of people do spend a lot of screen time, so probably are okay. Another trainer said to me, maybe we have already too much screen time in life and we shouldn't be encouraging it. That one I think is up to your personal discretion, probably. Another idea is that the noise of keyboards and people looking at screens might be distracting for the teacher. Again, I don't think there's an answer to this. If it is distracting, well, then don't do it. Or that trainees use the excuse of being behind a laptop to email lesson plans. Well, they do that whether or not you're using this chatting system, I think. And actually, if you're doing this, then if you can see that they're typing away and nothing's coming up on the chat, then you might know that they're not doing what you want them to do. This did come through from some trainees who felt that they couldn't observe as well. But again, it's how you deal with the tool. So you could, for example, tell them on the chat, I don't want you to write anything for the next 5 minutes, just look at and give them a particular focus, and then ask them to join back into the chat. So it's about how you use it. This was a comment that came up from some trainers. How can they reflect if they can already see what you and the others said? Well, the easy answer to that is to make them write their hot reflection before they look at the chat, when they sit down after their lesson, I think. And then we've got points of view which are, to be honest, completely the same as any kind of feedback. They're overly critical, or they give unwarranted praise, or some stronger trainees dominate the chat. I think as trainers we have the skills to overcome these kind of problems. We use these skills already. Some trainers may find that because it's a new system that there's extra stress and that you've already got enough to do when you're observing. What we at our centre found was that you really had to stop doing the running commentary as well. So we just do a front page and the chat and not a running commentary. And this has been okay for assessors. You could always download the chat if you wanted to, or if an assessor wanted. So we've seen what trainers think. How about this one? I went to one centre where one tutor was using chat and the other one wasn't. So it was quite interesting. They got to use it for half of the course and they could compare. What they felt were the positives was that the tutor was more involved, there was more interaction throughout, and they liked that. But the negatives were that they maybe missed some things because they were typing, and slow typists particularly felt this. But I think what was really interesting was that whichever system they started with, that's what they liked best. So maybe it was just what they knew, what they started with. That's my thought anyway. These were some comments from trainees on our last course. And the only really negative was about the idea that as time went on, people got a bit tired of it. But I think that's true of TP observation generally. They tend to get a bit fatigued by the end. So I don't think that's particularly different to observation anyway. So I suppose my conclusion is that I think that it's a tool. It's a useful tool. I think it's a really useful tool. For me, I've been really happy to use it. But it depends on how it's used. And I think as we as a community go forward and try different things and share different things, then we'll see different ways of using it. In the next short video, I'm going to talk about the actual discourse, what happens in the chat. I'm going to look at examples from my own and other trainers' chats and see what's going on. So join me for that.